If you are not sleeping for 8 hours every single night, your chances of probably getting a heart attack goes up by about 2x. There is a 200% higher chance of doing that.
95% patients survive from heart attack, and 95% patients do not survive of sudden cardiac arrest. They are two different things.
If you see blackening happening around the nape of your neck or around the front of your ears, it's a sign.
You see, diabetes is very big factor for coronary artery disease.
50% of men and 33% of women will see their first incident of a heart attack or a heart disease as sudden death.
Smoking, oral contraceptive pills, diet, as the nutritionist said, all these factors together have actually put the women at risk. Blood pressure is a very important parameter which actually has always been called the silent killer.
Hello everyone and welcome to our World Heart Day webinar. Today we'll be shedding light on some important questions that often cross our minds but we are not always sure who to ask. In this session we'll focus on a crucial topic, which is women and heart attacks. For a long time it was believed that estrogen protected women from heart attacks until they reached a certain age. But do heart attacks really discriminate, or are women just as much at risk as men? Today, we are diving deep into this important topic, and I welcome our renowned experts, leading cardiologist Dr. Aparna Jaiswal and Dr. Vanita Arora, along with longevity coach and nutrition expert Prashant Desai. Let's uncover the truth about heart health together. So, I would like to start with Dr. Aparna first. So, there have been researches recently that suggest that women may have a higher mortality rate following a heart attack than men. Can you explain why heart attacks seem deadlier for women?
Yeah, hi. At the outset, I'd like to thank you for getting me on board and giving me this opportunity to be here and spread awareness about heart disease in women. So I think you very rightly said that could there be a more mortality to women when they have heart disease? And the answer is yes. And the reasons are many. At the very outset, I think women, folk truly believe that, we're protected from heart disease because of the circulating hormones. Well, I think that's kind of far and gone for various other extraneous factors which have come into the being smoking, sedentary lifestyle, our diet, alcohol, all of that we're going to delve more into, which I don't want to go right now. But we have to understand that women as a community, since they believe that they do not have heart disease, do not seek attention when they really should. As a result, what happens? The important time is lost. A time when you can protect yourself from heart disease. B, when you have a blockage, you can protect yourself by getting the treatment done, often attributed to, acidity or some other gastritis, and you don't seek medical attention till it really is far and gone. So by the time women present, first of all, they have smaller blood vessels. The coronary arteries of the heart are smaller in caliber. They have more aggressive disease than men in postmenopausal time. Their disease is often neglected. They are often found to be an anemic subset. Their other blood vessels are also more fragile. So when they present in that situation, sure enough, they have a higher mortality than the men who have achieved treatment much faster. So that's the reason that women actually land up with a higher mortality than their male counterparts.
So my next question goes to Dr. Vanita, something that I'm picking from what Dr. Aparna just said, that, what we often believe there are these set of heart attack symptoms that everyone know about. There's this intense chest pain that travels to the arms, etc. But it is said that women do not experience the same set of symptoms, heart attack symptoms, that men do. What do you have to say about that?
Thank you, Karuna, for that question. It is very interesting questions to emphasize on the different symptoms. Women and men are different. You know that story that men are from Mars and women are from Venus. So similar is their heart. It is different. It behaves in a different way. Just to add to what Varna very beautifully explained as the causes of heart disease in women nowadays, you have to know that the incidence of smoking has gone up crucially, I would say, and exponentially in females. Along with that, the combination of taking oral contraceptives and smoking increases their risk of coronary artery disease fivefold. So, if you are smoking, please do not use for oral contraceptives. If you are using oral contraceptives, you have to quit smoking. So that was in addition to what Dr. Aparna beautifully explained. Now, coming to back to your question, which you said about the symptom, you are correct that the symptoms in females are different. In males, the symptoms, you must have seen that picture so many times that, both hands on the chest, pain happening, excruciating pain is happening, and the patient is sweating and is very looking very sick. Now, in females, actually, sometimes you may not have chest pain. What you may have is an epigastric discomfort. That means in the center of the stomach. And then you may not have that also. You may just have pain in both the shoulders, or pain radiating through the jaws, or pain going to the both arms, and with a lot of sweating. So these are atypical symptoms. Most of the time, they are taken as acidity. And in females, they hardly take care of their health. None of the female I have seen is actually concerned about their health at all. They just take it as a secondary thing, as if they are totally preserved by God to not have a heart disease. So we should come out of that shell, and create the awareness that females are equally affected with heart disease as males nowadays, and their symptoms definitely are different. So they have to be aware of it. That in case they have this epigastric discomfort, or they have a pain in the both the shoulders, they need to be evaluated immediately. They should go to the emergency and see a doctor, get the ECG done, get the cardiac enzymes done, so that the treatment can be given in time.
Picking from something that you said, that women tend to believe certain myths about healthy diet and stuff. So Prashant, you come in here, you put out a lot of content on what's healthy, what's not. What is it that you have observed, the kind of patterns that you see women following when it comes to their nutrition, their well-being?
Prakalpa, even before that, just to raise a broader awareness, so much is misunderstood amongst women in terms of disease of atherosclerosis, is that a woman is 10 times more likely to die of a disease of heart than she is of breast cancer. And you will often see breast cancer awareness going on, pink ribbons being one. But there is not much we do as a country when it comes to matters of heart, especially with respect to women. We were talking about the symptoms of heart attack. The first manifestation that there is something wrong in you, be it men or women, manifests not as a chest pain or a shoulder pain, but 50% of men and 33% of women will see their first incident of a heart attack or a heart disease as sudden death. Often you read in the papers that somebody died and it was sudden death. Nothing was happened and suddenly somebody kind of died. It is not sudden. The process of atherosclerosis begins in your teens, when soldiers were coming back from Vietnam, and when they were, these were soldiers who kind of died, and when their autopsies were done, even at the age of 18 and 19 and 20, when their hearts and their arteries were opened up, they started seeing the formation of atherosclerosis. So everybody needs to understand that unlike cancer, disease of the heart is ubiquitous and it is inevitable. Most of us can either die from atherosclerosis or we will die with it. You cannot escape it. It begins in your teens but takes decades and decades to manifest. We will have to change a massive narrative around heart attack, because 1 in 4 Indians is dying because of this. And given the prevalence of what a lot of us are talking about here, whether it is diabetes or obesity, more Indians are likely to die because of that. Even now, when it comes to cholesterol, we still talk of cholesterol as good cholesterol and we talk of cholesterol as bad cholesterol. We still go to a doctor, and if you have high LDL-C, they will say stop eating eggs or stop eating poultry. Whereas we know dietary cholesterol has very little to do with the cholesterol which goes inside your endothelium and starts the process of atherosclerosis. So from all perspective, the narrative needs to change. We need to change our risk horizon. Most of the doctors you go to have a 10-year horizon to measure whether you are probably have a risk or not. So if you go to your doctor at the age of 30 or 35, you are put in the low risk category. By the time you come into a category where you are probably in high risk, it's probably sometimes too late for you to do. So for me, even before nutrition, changing this narrative around why we get moving from symptoms to cause becomes very important. Today, LDL cholesterol is seen as a predictor of atherosclerosis. Unfortunately, it is not. It is just measuring the cargo which is traveling and not the vehicles in which which is traveling, which is lipoprotein. In India, which is the heart attack capital of the world, we still do not measure the highest risk predictor of atherosclerosis, which is ApoB particles. We have not yet got that technology, which is killing 1 in 4 Indians, to measure that. It's available in rest of the world, measuring the using the NMR technology. These are some of the things we need to do. From an intervention perspective, I would say even before you go the route of nutrition, sleep takes precedence. If you are not sleeping for 8 hours every single night, your chances of probably getting a heart attack goes up by about 2x. There is a 200% higher chance of doing that. If you sleep for 6 hours instead of 8 hours, your ability to dispose glucose, which leads to then going into insulin resistance and then diabetes, reduces by 50%. So all that glucose which you would otherwise go and store in your muscle as glycogen is now traveling in your arteries. So we will need to look at sleep as your first reason to kind of prevent this. Second for me, Kalpana, will be blood pressure. Today, the way blood pressure is measured in India is a joke. The way you need to measure blood pressure, you need to sit down in a chair for 5 minutes, calm down. You can't watch the phone, you can't do anything. Then your arm has to be parallel to your heart before you measure. Today, you go into a doctor's chamber, the doctor doesn't even measure your blood pressure. You are put inside, a nurse will come, they will measure your blood pressure. You use that as a yardstick. Your second biggest causal for heart attack is your blood pressure. Then comes nutrition. If you are somebody who wants to avoid the process of atherosclerosis, to slow down the process of atherosclerosis, it's very simple. Eat less carbohydrates. Carbohydrates, which in turn when goes and converts into glucose, and that glucose, causes a glucose spike, which needs to come down. When insulin comes into play, all that excess glucose will go and probably either get stored in your muscle, in your liver, or then in your fat cell. But the storage vehicle is triglycerides, and triglyceride travel with cholesterol inside a vehicle called lipoprotein. So the higher your glucose circulating, you will need more particles or more vehicles. These are the vehicles that go and get retained inside the endothelial layer, which starts the atherosclerosis process. Measure your uric acid levels, girls. The reason is, if you have higher uric acid levels, it's an indicator that you are having lots of fruit juices, you are having lots of cold coffees where the liquid fructose is causing all the damage. So from a nutritional standpoint, I would say probably reduce your carbs, reduce your sugar. It will help you a little bit, but first line of defense for me will be sleep.
Something that you said, Dr. Aparna or Dr. Vinita, this white coat hypertension, the blood pressure that often we don't talk about.
Can I just put some facts straight?
Sure.
And I want Aparna to join me in that, because the facts that have been enumerated by our very able nutritionist friend, first of all, 95% patients survive from heart attack, and 95% patients do not survive of sudden cardiac arrest. They are two different things. One is an electrical problem, one is a plumbing problem. So let's not confuse and say that so many people die of heart attack. No, if they are dying, it is sudden cardiac arrest. And that is totally a different ballgame. Atherosclerosis starts as a process for forming the clots in the arteries. I do agree with that. But other factors also come in play. But nutrition also comes in play. But with sudden cardiac arrest, this has got nothing to do with it. So let's not confuse our viewers by saying that. Aparna, you want to add something in this?
No, I would agree that, as she said, sudden cardiac arrest is an electrical problem, which may potentially happen to people who've had a heart attack in the past. It can present for the very first time when a patient is having a heart attack. But as she rightly said, majority of the heart attacks survive, and they're two distinct elements of heart disease. Heart attack is a problem where blood vessels suddenly get clotted. There's a clot which forms, and the muscles cry out for blood. And sudden cardiac death is something which is an electrical problem, wherein you may have had a heart attack in the past. I'd also like to stand up here and speak on behalf of the doctor community, because it should not pass by. I think we as clinicians are very careful as to how blood pressure is to be monitored. When blood pressure is monitored, and if we find it out of range, we actually recheck the blood pressure, because as he said, blood pressure is a very important parameter which actually has always been called the silent killer. Doctors take utmost care. The patient must be seated, should not have had caffeine in the previous 1 hour, should be seated, should have urinated, how we tie the cuff. All of those elements have to be followed. And to add to a lighter note, all doctors are so busy that patients actually have waited much longer outside the clinic by the time they come into the chamber. So yes, and when we find it higher, we do ensure that the blood pressure is checked. Again, we check on both the arms. And the age for blood pressure now has become 18. So we are actually formulating a plan that when students enter their college, at the entry point, every individual must have his numbers right. He must know his blood pressure, he must know his blood sugar, and if possible, should also know his blood cholesterol. By doing so, we are going to help the community at large. We understand the challenges in India are way too many, but this is a small attempt at college entry point to take care of. And to go back to your question, which was, come again, please.
So I was talking to you about the whiteboard thing that you addressed, but now that what you're saying, I want to extend a question from there.
Yeah.
Do you see young women at an increased risk of heart diseases these days?
So, actually, this World Heart Day, we're actually doing a story about that. We've had more and more women. I think when I started my practice, maybe about 25 years ago, we had much fewer women presenting with heart disease. And Dr. Vanita will agree that it's not that we are seeing the older women. Unfortunately, we are seeing younger women come in with heart disease. To our surprise, younger women coming with atherosclerosis. We were, as I said, we are a protected lot, but we've lost that protection because of, as Dr. Vanita enumerated, smoking, oral contraceptive pills, diet, as the nutritionist said, all these factors together have actually put the women at risk. Stress, sedentary lifestyle, working from home. So women, while are protected by their hormones, that has been offset by the external factors that we brought into our being. And we are seeing more and more younger women walk into the emergency room with chest discomfort, hypertension, diabetes. And post-COVID, we've all become more vigilant. We have learned when a patient comes with this, let it not be ascribed that you don't have illness. Social media did something. Social media taught us that, well, there is something happening more than what we can actually consider. So we're going all out. When patients come with symptoms, women come with odd symptoms, as she enumerated, we put them either through a stress test or a CT angio. And if we think the likelihood of disease is high, we may also take them to the cath lab and do a regular angiography.
Dr. Vanita, like it's often said that, a man with a pot belly, that's a sign of a weak heart. Is there any visible sign in a woman that can tell that, she's at risk?
You see, diabetes is very big factor for coronary artery disease. And diabetes, we are the diabetic capital of the world, right? And in whether in men or female women, I'm seeing a very high incidence of diabetes nowadays. And the girls as young as 27, 28, they are coming with diabetes, and they have their weights on the higher side. They have uncontrolled diabetes, and they are symptomatically very positive for, not being able to walk, take the walks, do the normal chores, do the household work also. So I would say, to keeping the weight under control, keeping stress under control, and diabetes and hypertension under control. That should be a mantra for a female. But most important thing is that while they are working and managing their household, both, the me time comes first and foremost. I have been propagating like anything about the me time, especially in females. I'm not saying males should not do it, but especially in females, it makes a hell of a difference. Why? Because spending 40 minutes out of 24 hours on yourself it really, really gives you the relaxation. And in those 40 minutes, don't do any household work, don't do any office work. Just try to concentrate on yourself. Do what you like. You like listening music, do that. You like dancing, do that. You like reading a book, do that. You like to go for a walk, go alone for a walk. Spend your 40 minutes with yourself. It will make a absolutely substantial difference in your personality, and it will give you that relaxation that you is much needed. Secondly, what I have been propagating is start going back to the school time where you used to carry your own tiffin from home. Start making the tiffin for yourself. Replace the garbage that you eat at your workplace, whatever it may be. It may be the mess food, or it may be the canteen food, or it may be the burgers, and you replace it with your home cooked food. It makes a hell lot of a difference. Thirdly, start walking. I never wear heels in my working place. I'm always in Skechers. If I can make the camera go down, you can see I'm still wearing Skechers. I walk around. I don't take lifts. I walk around and complete my steps because I may not have a specific time for my exercise, but that's how I complete my exercise. These are a couple of routines which can be added, to keep your weight under check, to keep your diabetes under control. And as the risk factors, rest of which we have been discussing, they are kept under control. That should make the difference in controlling the attack of heart disease. I would say.
Prashant, now we'll come back to you.
I, no,
Yes,
can I?
yes, please. Yes,
I
yes.
think Peter enumerated wonderfully. I only wanted to add, as you said, that men visceral fat. Similarly, women also, yes, she rightly said, visceral fat tells us diabetes is lurking around you. Increase in visceral fat, increase in your abdominal fat is just a telltale sign. A second sign which we should look for is what we in medical parlance call acanthosis nigricans. If you see blackening happening around the nape of your neck or around the front of your ears, it's a sign that you may be having impaired insulin resistance. So there's certain signs other than what she enumerated that you should be very, very careful. These are called phenotypic markers that yes, you're calling out for disease and the disease is calling out for help. Don't let it pass by.
Okay. That's a very important point because all these comorbidities end up increasing your chances of weakening your heart. So, Prashant, we've heard of mostly men. I mean, I don't know if I missed out on any news around women, but men collapsing in their gyms, men collapsing while cycling, men collapsing while running or dancing. I mean, do you think that cases of women are underreported, or what is your opinion on that?
So I don't think cases of women are underreported or anybody would underreport it. But of the things that make it to the newspaper currently, it's heavily weighted towards men. Um, and taking a clue from where Dr. Vanita was talking, amongst the other symptoms that all men and women should test, two things are very critical. I think it's simple that you need to take your family history, not just about your parents and their siblings, but go one level above. You will get a very simple risk assessment. Are you a high risk candidate for atherosclerosis, or are you not that high risk? Chances are, if you are a high risk, you understand first that you are at high risk, and hence whether you are a man or a woman, will need to do something more than others. Two, you will need to get your blood work done very regularly. Though you may want external manifestation to tell you whether you are at higher risk or not, nothing can probably tell you whether you are higher risk till you get your, whether it's your lipid profile being checked. Unfortunately, in India, we don't measure our LDL particle or ApoB particles. In my view, also one of the reasons why you hear of a 40, 50-year-old probably succumbing to sudden death could be because they have a genetic inheritance of a particle called LP little a. We all must once in our lifetime get it tested for that. If you are high on LP little a, you are at higher risk. Unfortunately, because our risk assessment is only current medical system allows or thinks about it in a 10-year risk perspective versus a 30-year risk perspective, one thing you have to understand, whether it's your LDL cholesterol or ApoB particle or LDL particles, they will go up with age. The single biggest non-modifiable factor is age. With age, your risk eventually will kind of go up, be it men or be it women. Now, if you are somebody who anyways have a hectic life, whether you are a man or a woman, on top of that, you also want to probably, because you've done well, enjoy your life. Rest becomes extremely critical. A lot of people who succumbed. For example, Nitin Kamath suddenly recently suffered a stroke. Stroke is nothing but it's manifestation of the same process happening in your brain, which is why they say anything that is good for your heart is also good for your brain. I think each of these people will have to learn to sleep for 7 to 9 hours. We as a society do not give sleep the importance. When you sleep, I track my sleep, my heart rate comes down. When I sleep, my blood pressure is down. Automatically, my heart is getting the rest, my vessels are getting the rest. When I am sleeping, I am not awake, I am not eating. It helps with my glucose metabolism across the spectrum. Before nutrition, sleep becomes your first line of defense to kind of prevent that. But as a society, we have to understand one thing. It is not that, men and women who are in the category of 25 to 34, the incidence of death from heart is zero. It is not zero. Between 5 and 7% of death in this category happens because of a disease of a heart or brain or atherosclerosis, as you may say it. So nobody is safe. There was a recent study done by Faridi et al. And she took the Miami Heart Study and she removed people who had comorbidity. So she removed patients who had high blood pressure. She removed people who had high diabetes, people who had high cholesterol, and she removed patients who are on medication. She came down to a list of 1,033 patients who were otherwise, when you looked at them, seemed very healthy. But when she looked at their biomarkers in terms of their scan and their imaging, 36% the calcification process had already started in their arteries. So I'm just trying to probably share over here that nobody nobody is at zero risk. The sooner we understand that, the best news about atherosclerosis is, unlike cancer where you can do little about it, when it comes to atherosclerosis the world knows a lot, and you can do a lot both from an intervention point of view, testing point of view, and then going to experts like Dr. Vanita and Dr. Aparna to regularly get this checked up to reassess what your risks are. We Indians should not be dying the way we are dying of matters of heart, whether it is mechanical or whether it is electric.
Coming back to Dr. Vinita, what Prashant just said, uh, I mean, people who seemingly, they look fit, they're working out, they seem to have a healthy diet, but may have issues, heart related issues. What do you have to say about that? I mean, do you get people who are fit, look very, physically they are fit, they look well, but they have a heart issue?
Yeah, absolutely. We are getting a lot of such patients whereby, the looks don't matter. Actually, what matters is actually how healthy is the heart. And that comes with numbers. Numbers of HbA1c or diabetes, numbers of blood pressure readings, numbers of weight that they have, and numbers of cholesterol readings that are there. In addition to that, I would like to emphasize the point that everybody who is above the age of 25 should start getting their health checkup done. You see, we have brought down that age because the graph of coronary artery disease is changing. Initially, it used to be 55 plus, then it came to 45. Now it is post COVID. It is the younger, the better. You get yourself checked. And here I want to emphasize another point. Most of the young guys nowadays I've started seeing is that they want to stay fit. So what is their mantra? Let's go to the gym. And they will go to gym without getting advice from a doctor whether they can go ahead and do it. They start gymming, like heavy exercise. They'll start going on the treadmill, doing weights, and they collapse. Most of the people who have not been doing exercise regularly should not start aggressive exercise without consulting a doctor first. This is my first message. Second message is people who have heart disease, they know they have heart disease. Now, they have to have a structured program whereby they can follow and go to the gym, right? My mantra to my patients is 40 minutes of walk, 4 kilometers. That's good for healthy heart. If you want to lose weight, then you have to increase your speed, right? And cover more distance in that much time, right? So this is and walking around is much better than going to the gym. Third point is, please do not take any products from the gym. whatever said and done, if you are going to gym, they will offer you some kind of proteins, some kind of pre workouts, some kind of powders to sniff or injections to take. Please do not take that. They cause scar in the heart, and it can give you arrhythmias. It can give you sudden cardiac arrest, and they are bad. They are catabolic to the heart, and they can cause coronary artery disease also. I've seen so many patients I'm seeing with arrhythmias coming up. Arrhythmias is irregular or a faster heartbeat. And the only connection I can find is that they start going to the gym and they are taking some products, some or the other products. So please do not do that. Apart from that, the mantra to stay healthy has to control all the numbers and then move forward for a healthy life further ahead.
Dr. Aparna, coming to you before we end this conversation, can you sum it up all for us? And also what Dr. Vanita said, protein, we have come to a stage where it's being abused. And protein supplements and shakes have become people take it for building muscles, to suppress their appetite. It's come into many forms now. So if you can just sum it all up for us, that what a healthy woman should do and not do for heart health.
I take this opportunity on this World Heart Day to spread the word about it. So I think most important, what have we learned today? We've learned that diet and lifestyle is the primary element that is going to protect us from heart disease. I think all of us have been speaking over and over about that. We need to understand that we must limit the intake of sugars and carbohydrates. We must understand the mantra what Dr. Vanita said, 40 minutes, 4 kilometers. Again, I will re-emphasize, it doesn't have to be on your first day, 40 minutes, 4 kilometers. It can be 40 minutes and 2 kilometers, 1 kilometer, depending upon your speed, but gradually build it. It's important. The third point, it's important to know your numbers. Visit a doctor. Understand where are you today. And I'm telling you, as we've been speaking, atherosclerosis is forgiving. It's not like a malignancy. Look after it. It will look after you. So respect that. The last element I wish to speak, all healthy adults must try and consume 1 gram protein per day. At least 1 gram protein per day. That's for healthy adults with normal kidneys. We must understand that vegetarian proteins are much better than non-vegetarian proteins. We must remember the natural sources of proteins are a must for intake. And as Dr. Vanita said, do not try to buy proteins as proteins, rather consume them as natural proteins. They actually are extremely essential. India has reached a point where earlier we never spoke about it. With the economy changing in our country, we are seeing that we're speaking more and more about protein consumption. It has to be from natural vegetable sources of protein, which are plenty. So I think with that, the mantra for World Heart Day is very simple. Diet, exercise is the key to a healthy, happy.
Thank you so much. And thank you to all three of you for joining us today. And it was lovely talking to you. And I'm sure our viewers have a lot to take away and work on. Thank you so much.